Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Geraci. I hope you all had a really good Thanksgiving and got that out of the way. And then we got Christmas. Christmas is cool, getting gifts, but struggling to find gifts for people that you're not sure of their interests, that's kind of odd. Sometimes I wish Christmas was just like Thanksgiving 2.0. Okay, now these are some random comics that I picked out of the old spinner rack. And let me see. Okay. I had a little cough there. Beautiful, beautiful Batman cover. I was not reading Batman at the time because it was kind of uneven. But this is by Gene Day, who became a legend in a few short years, but, because he was just that talented. He did, I think his first thing was Master of Kung Fu, which he did after Mike Zeck had finished his run of it. And it's just spectacular looking. And then later on, Gene Day took on some inking. He would ink Marvel 2-in-1 over Ron Wilson. And, you could take anybody, just make it really cool. And I have another book that's Gene Day related in this pile, which we'll watch together. Okay, beautiful cover. Amazing storytelling. It looks like it's very photo reference, but comic book enough that it's not slavishly photo referenced. Now this is not. It's Dan Day, who is the brother of Gene Day, and I'm wondering if Gene had passed on during this time. Gene Day passed very young age. He was working at the drawing board as he was doing it. He wasn't taking good care of himself as far as sleeping and eating habits and whatnot. That's the vague version that I've heard, so don't hold me accountable for it. Beautiful stuff though. Look at all these buildings. Wow. Remember when comic artists would draw buildings? Ooh, a lot going on. There's a lot of work going on there. And who's inking him here? I forgot. Oh, Pablo Marcos, yeah. He's the guy who I loved on Avengers in the 70s. And also the black and white magazines he did. This is pretty cool here. Very Frank Millerish. This article by Dick Giordano, who was the editor-in-chief at the time. I loved this. It gave me an insight to what he does. I mean, not only looking and talking, looking at books, talking to the talent, he would also wake up an hour early, ink a whole page, and then take the subway into New York City. It was just amazing. Really, really cool stuff. It's a little stiff, but you know what? So what? It looks great, So, back up by with Green Arrow by Paris Cullins and Joey Cavalieri, writer. Pablo Marcos again on the inks. So this sort of stuff I think got people warmed up to Green Arrow having his own mini-series. Okay. Now for Spider-Man and the Black Widow. We got a beautiful cover by Dave Cockrum, and I believe this is the very, very first appearance of the Silver Samurai. And if this was any good condition, it'd probably be worth quite a bit of money because he went on to the issue of Saturday Night Live that will never be reprinted again, and then he became a big part of the X-Men lore. Chris Claremont, author. Sal Buscema, Dave Hunt. Dave Hunt is just a great inker. He started off as like a letterer and a colorist, and then I think he assisted Frank Giacoya and Mike Esposito, who worked together, and he picked up on all the right tricks. It's just such a solid, smooth. It's almost like a Senate. It's just a real enjoyable. Look how skinny this guy is. Years later, Silver Samurai would be like buff. But it didn't matter back then. It just doesn't matter. Well, Black Widow shows up. Enemy action. And she looks all around. She sees a coffee that's still hot. So she's wondering what the dang deal is. Well, she's part of the Champions, which I'll cover in another. She was in a super team that was operating out of L.A., and she just happens to see Spider-Man about to be cleaved, and she rams the Champ's Craft. That's the name of it, not the Sham Craft, but the Cram the champ's craft into him, and it probably would have killed anybody but normal. But I don't know. Somehow he handles it. Anyway, Spider-Man shows up and he returns, and he Silver Samurai cuts one of the support beams, and this guy's falling. Spider-Man goes to save the guy. He uses like a pendulum swing to get the guy so he doesn't break his neck like poor Gwen Stacy. So lots of friggin' ads. Well, the building is buckling, and he's going down to help Black Widow, and she's like, no, he's taking off. What's going on? And he is putting out a bunch of I-beams, which is great because it reminds people that he does have really good strength. And all of a sudden, Natasha returns and she sees what's going on. She says, I'll handle the samurai. And Spider-Man's just about, his arms are about like melting at this point, his muscles, because he's just so worn out. But great panel there. And she does a Sako thing, and in great Sal Buscema style. Beautiful stuff. Okay, now, this I got very early into my comics collecting. It says November here, so it must have been like August, right before school started. Boo, school, at least for me. This reprints, of course, many Spider-Man books. It was originally in Spider-Man 74. Now, here was a brief time that John Romita, he was the innovator, and then they say Jim Madman Mooney illustrator. So it's more like a breakdown of looser pencils, and Jim Mooney was the finisher, and it was really strong at this time. And a little bit after this, it gets really weird. It's like John Romita and John Buscema finished by Jim Mooney. And so there's some faces and such and poses that are very distinctly Romita. And really cool stuff. But at the time, it was a little quiet for my taste. Oh, the famous buying a newspaper and leaving a dime hanging down. That's back when they cost a dime. That's back when they had newspapers. Really beautiful stuff. And Jim Mooney and John Romita were such a great team. Love that. Love that. What that guy leaves. Oh, at the bottom. I love these things. Marvel's first Canadian superstar. The Wolverine, now in Hulk 181. They did this for a couple of months in around 74 or 75. And I always thought it was kind of neat. All those buildings. Pretty sweet. When I would ink a monthly book, I would start with the buildings because I would use a straight edge. It's the first thing you do in the morning when you have your coffee and your eyes are half open because you can't really screw it up with a beveled triangle. And for a brief time, Harry Osborn looks kind of cool with that mustache. That is a wonderful. It just reads realistically. It just really has a great feel. And the Fountain of Youth, long story. But now I will jump over to something that's quite odd. I bought this when it came out in 1984. I had bought Justice League for a while, on and off. I was still a Marvel guy. But, with in the 80s, I tried everybody. And this was just the weirdest book. It was promoted before. There was Amazing Heroes, and there was a lot of fan press that would cover stuff where the old guard, except for Aquaman and the returning Martian Manhunter, the founders, they all leave. So these two guys are stuck with everybody else. It's really interesting, but the story, it was corny even for 1984, but the art by Chuck Patton is so good. And we got our pal Dave Hunt on the inks. Yes, we do. And Chuck Patton's just an amazing artist. And he was great to take over Justice League. It's just that I don't think he was given strong enough stories to handle some of this stuff. Well, he goes before the UN for whatever reason, even though it's United States Justice League of America. He's trying to break up the band because he's like, we need full timers. We can't have part timers. And Firestorm's like, hey, no way, Jose. Joining the league was one of the biggest things that ever happened to me. I won't take it away. Well, he's asking who can give their full-time efforts, and Red Tornado, Green Arrow, Black Canary. What did Red Tornado have to do, What? So what? They're obliged to Thanagar, and Zatanna is going to stay with that god-awful, stupid costume that, until finally they did the old top hat and tails of original costume. Elongated man. And Firestorm's there, but his other half, the professor, tells him, we got our own lives. Everybody's walking away. The big old green hand. It would have been better if this was a silhouette, because it really tips it off. I mean, the cover does too. This is hard to say, but ever since this book, the Martian Manhunter has been in the Avengers, in the JLA for decades. He's just never left. So it's funny. There's like 4 of them left, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to say. The new Justice League, that just really struck me as corny as hell. It's like, yeah, we got less people, yay. And this woman named Vixen, she was going to get her own solo book during the DC explosion, and it never came out. It was part of the DC implosion, and what happened is it was actually finished, and they put it in the DC Canceled Comics Cavalcade, which was limited photocopies of like 35 way back when, and it's been since copied over and over again. And then this guy Steele comes in. He looks just like the character Steele that was in the Jerry Conway Don Heck short-lived series, which was kind of like a Captain America. And it's weird, though. It's like automatically, and they're in Detroit. It's like automatically, this guy Steele, he has all this, excuse me a second. Pardon me. Anyway, I had to clear my throat. So they have this new underground headquarters. And it's too easy. It just seemed like, and then Vibe comes along, and he's this Puerto Rican guy, and he talks with a thick accent, but when he's called Vibe because he can use music to make things vibrate. And there's Gypsy. Okay, cue the Stevie Nicks song. What's funny is Paco, he doesn't use a real heavy accent when he's with his regular family. It's like he's putting it on to be more street. And Zatanna and this other guy, they're like, hey now. He's kind of like the guy who keeps everything running. Later on, Night Thrasher of the New Warriors, there was a guy who served the same purpose. But I just think Chuck Patton's great art is wasted on kind of a already corny kind of story. But okay, now. God, I hated that so much. It just wrecks the whole cover. What a great cover. Big, stupid, big, fat ad. Anyway, I never really bought Thor on a regular basis because it was also, it was over my head, but it was also kind of dry as toast. Kind of like this bastardization of Marvel lore from Kirby's time to actual Norse god history. And Roy Thomas wrote it forever, and he kind of tied Thor into the Ring of the Nibelungen, however you say it, Wagner's opera. And so this is issue 300. But. Okay, Keith Pollard, man. I'm going to have to do an episode on him. He is one of the legends who never gets credit. This is inked by Gene Day, baby. So it's just beautiful. So I bought this issue, partially because it is I collected anniversary issues, and it's funny because they're supposed to be worth more or whatever. I never sold any of my books, It's like, I don't know what I was thinking. There's, blab, blabbity blab, blabbity blab. And I actually did read it back then. That's back when I read every word. Now I kind of scan over. Well, Mark Gruenwald and Ralph Macchio, who were a team on the Project Pegasus era of Marvel 2-in-1 with The Thing, they wrap up this Roy Thomas story in a double-size issue. Keith Pollard, Gene Day. And you know what? So I apologize, Roy, but the Eternals from Jack Kirby are involved, which I neglected to say with the Celestials in the background. Well, here we go. The original armor of the Destroyer that Jack Kirby created in the visual of what is it? Issue 118 of Thor or something like that. And how badass is that? So apparently, at this time, the Destroyer was created to take on the Celestials. Inevitably, that was his. He even has the Odin sword. That was the thing. Everyone was like, "Oh no, you can't pull it out, or else it'll be the end of all." Whatever. And wow, bad, bad connection for a 2-page spread. But so much going on. I mean, Keith Pollard was just he was a friggin' master. And Gene Day actually had the clever idea of doing these zap beams to use Zipatone. So great stuff going on. Great. And that's about it. Nice ending. And then after that, I actually started buying Thor after this issue. So that's it for my spinner rack for now. I went a little longer than I intended, but I hope you enjoyed it. And have a good day, night, morning, whatever.